Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast. My name is Melanie Moreno. I am a blogger, a content creator, a health coach, and most importantly, I will be your host. Join me for some fun and inspiring conversations with amazing individuals coming up now. Hi guys, welcome back to the pod. This week we're joined by a very talented and up-and-coming musician. I went to high school with him actually, and perhaps I'm biased then because he's a friend whose musical journey I've been following for several years now. His name is Fabian, but professionally he is known as Docta Groove, the creator of very psychedelic and dreamy, groovy tunes. I should have asked him in the episode, but I think the way we started talking was after he had released his first musical project. He was actually in a band with his brother and some friends, and they had produced an album, and they put it out on CDs. This was back in those carless days, you know, and him and his brother literally rode around on their bikes to hand deliver CDs to anyone who wanted one. That's dedication. Anyway, as far as what this episode is about, Fabian, aka Docta Groove, has come a long way, and I think this is a really cool episode for anyone who feels intimidated to take the leap. He talks about making the decision to pursue music professionally. He shares what his process is as far as song creation and songwriting. He just released his first full-length album under the name Docta Groove earlier this year, so he shares what that was like. We also talk about his motivations, which I found extremely fascinating to hear as a creative individual myself. I don't make music, but I feel like we have similar drives, and if you consider yourself even the slightest bit of a creative, I think this episode is really going to resonate with you. I'm certain you're going to love his music. Actually, here's a fun fact. The music that you hear at the beginning of the episode and also at the end, and perhaps in the middle, anywhere you might hear a little bit of a tune, that is music created by Docta Groove. And he so kindly has let me use it in this podcast. So thank you to him for that. Also, stay tuned because he's actually treating us to a song later, so be sure to listen to the episode all the way through. And you can also check out his music on Spotify and SoundCloud and on Instagram, where he posts cool little tidbits of songs he's working on. So without further ado, let's get straight on into the episode. Enjoy! I can't tell someone else not to move also. Yeah. If I gave them headphones.
I'm gonna try not to move this too much.
Oh. It's okay.
I'll try. Or I'll stand.
Or you'll stand? Why am I taller than you? I feel funny.
Well, because, I don't know.
Does your seat go up a little higher? So that I don't feel like I'm talking down to you?
Not really.
Okay.
It'll work.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Well, hi, Fabian. Thank you so much for coming on the Make It Happen podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to get straight into this and just ask you to introduce yourself to listeners.
All right. Well, I'm Fabian, but I usually don't go by Fabian. I go by Docta Groove as my music moniker, and I just make music in my room.
So how did that start? How did you begin making... Well, let's actually go back to... Let's take it back to the beginning. Like, what first got you into music? And yeah, tell us about that.
Probably one of the first things that got me into music was The Killers. I heard Mr. Brightside, and I was like, I want to get that album Hot Fuzz. And so I went to the store and I bought it, and I just listened to it, you know, from beginning to end. And then from there, I just really started liking music, and I ended up getting a bass guitar, and I ended up learning all the songs, or most of them. And then just from there, it just kept progressing.
Do you feel like the music you make now is inspired by that in any way?
I feel like it's inspired by a lot of stuff I kind of like grew up listening to, and then stuff I got into in high school, mainly oldies and stuff.
So that inspires your sound, but what would you say inspires? You do all your own songwriting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say inspires your songwriting?
The songwriting. As in the process, or just me kind of like doing it?
Go into all of it. Like, tell me all of it. Yeah.
So I think another main musician that like inspired me, to like do everything myself is like Mac DeMarco and a couple like indie musicians, because a lot of them tend to just work from home and they do everything themselves. And I saw him do it, and I really like his music, so I was like, if he could do it, I could do it. I somewhat know how to play the keyboard and the drums and the guitar, so I just do it all together. And then as in wanting to do music, it's just I always have a passion for it. It doesn't really feel like work. Yeah, I get tired at the end of the day, but I have fun doing it. And I like just kind of building the song from like beginning to the end, and it's kind of cool just watching it progress.
So can you describe a little bit about what your process has been finding your passion for music? That's what you would call your passion, right? So can you describe what the process has been like? Because it hasn't always been, at the forefront of your life, and it seems like it is now. So how do you get to this point?
So how did I get to this point? Okay, so I felt like after high school, I didn't really know where I was going. Like, speaking of like life or jobs or what I was going to end up doing pretty much. And I was going to school for something I didn't really like see myself doing, but I was doing it more for like security or because the money was there. But after like finishing school, I just realized it's not what I wanted to do. And music has always been, like how he said, it's always been in the back of my mind. Something I've always had a passion for and always wanted to do. I was like, you know what? We only got one life on this earth or world, and we got to make the most out of it. Because if you're going to do something that you're not happy doing for the rest of your life, then what's the point of living? So that was pretty much my whole idea of like, made me change everything, turn everything around. And yeah, it seems kind of stupid, like just dropping all of that and just going into music. But sometimes you gotta just take that leap and see where it takes you. But the thing is, you gotta put in the work.
Why do you say it was stupid?
Because a lot of people think it's stupid, I guess. Like I've kind of like not really. Let's just say my relationship with some people, I would say family or friends, has kind of gone bad because of that decision, because they didn't agree. And well, I guess that's kind of just made me think maybe it's probably not worth it. But then at the end of the day, I'm not here to make other people happy. I'm here to make myself happy.
I really like, that's really cool that you said that. I actually tell myself that if not every day, then every couple of days. It's like a reminder that I have to say, I'm here for me, like not to please other people, because you can easily get wrapped up in that, and then you start doing things for others.
Things that you don't really like enjoy, and you're just doing it for others. And yeah, they'll be happy, but are you happy? That's something that a lot of people need to like actually think about.
So can you tell me a little bit about some events or experiences of significance that you feel have influenced your songwriting or music making in general?
Like all of the really bad sets or shows I've played have like really influenced me on like practicing a lot more. I feel like I've gotten a lot better, but I still have a lot that I could work on, musically speaking, because I don't really have any music knowledge or theory or anything. I don't, like, if you gave me a pencil and a paper, I don't know how to like write music notation and keys and all that. I just, whatever I hear. So it's just practice and learning how to just like listen. I feel like a lot of musicians or artists, they don't know how to listen and take criticism well, and you have to, because if you're gonna throw your stuff out there, you got to be able to like, oh, you know what, maybe that's a little offbeat, or maybe that's out of tune, and how can I fix this next time? And you got to go back, and you know, you got to really analyze everything and go back and keep doing it. And I feel like just playing a lot of shitty shows or putting out like really bad stuff has kind of made me try to like perfect my craft, even though it's not really perfected yet. I feel like I still have a lot to learn, but yeah, just basically learning and listening and trying to understand where your faults are in.
What have people told you that you need to work on? Or do they say it kindly like that? Like, you need to work on this.
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes people are a little too afraid to like be honest, which is bad, because if you're never honest with someone, then they never know what they have to improve off of, and they're going to think they're good. And where are they going to get? Nowhere, right? So what's like worked the best for me is reaching out to people online. So like going to like Reddit or just SoundCloud, or sharing it to strangers, you know, people that you've never met, because they're going to be honest. They're going to be honest.
They're going to be harsh.
Yeah, they're going to be harsh. And like your mom, she's going to love everything you do. She's your mom. And your brothers, maybe, you know, but honestly, some of the things that I feel like I've had to improve on were like singing, my drumming, just like little things like that. And I feel like I've gotten a little bit better, but at the end of the day, I still have a lot I could improve off of from that. So every day I'm always trying to practice on how I could get this better, because I don't take music classes. I don't take anything. And maybe I should. Maybe it would be pretty good to go do that.
So I'm also curious to hear about, in the past, you've had several musical projects before now becoming Docta Groove. Can you describe those a little bit and sort of say like what that process has also been like, those projects and then leading up to now?
So those are funny. I feel like the first band I ever had was with my like little cousins and brothers, and honestly, we did not know how to write music. It was just like making a bunch of noise. And I don't know, you get to like, when you work with other people, you kind of see how other people work. And most of the time you get really annoyed of other people because you don't see them putting in the same work as you, or they don't have the same work ethic, I would say. Not to like put anyone down, but some people, music is not the priority or whatever, you know? So the thing is, I feel like all of those like little side projects I've done with other people haven't worked because of that, because of our dynamics and how we work together. It just nothing really happened, you know? Stuff never really got done. And so it kind of changed my mentality. It's like, I could just do it myself, and I just gotta really apply myself on everything, which, you know, I gotta make the music. I gotta just record everything, produce everything, do all the flyers, do all the merch, and I do everything, you know? It's a lot of work, but I mean, I feel like I've gotten a lot further than what I've done with other people in the group.
So what were I know, but for the listeners, can you describe those previous musical projects? I feel like you've had a different theme with all of the music. Like originally it was a little more folky. And then
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, folk was, during that time, folk was like pretty, it was getting a little mainstream because you had like Lumineers, you had Fleet Foxes, and like bands like that, kind of like making a name for themselves. And like at that time, I had purchased the banjo and the mandolin, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to make folk music. So me and my brothers and my friends were just like writing little folk songs, but you know, they were just like little cute songs, and we didn't really know where we were taking the music. We were just doing it.
Back then, were you thinking of it just as like a fun hobby more than something you wanted to pursue in a major career sort of way?
It was a little bit of both. But then we also saw we were in that stage in our lives where out of high school, still trying to get, you know, see where we're going right after high school. And honestly, the reason it didn't work out, we had one of the members move out. No, actually, two of them moved out. One go to school. One had, you know, they found a job elsewhere. And then, yeah, just like life happens. It's just kind of like in a weird stage in your life. It's from that, like, you know, 18 to 20. You kind of still figuring out what you're trying to do. So it's kind of like for fun, but also in the back of our heads, we wanted to do it, you know, for something bigger than just fun, but it never really worked out.
And you still work with a lot of the same people, right? Like now they kind of just do more of background work, right?
Yeah, so now since like I do everything, it's just like a lot of the people I've had, past music projects with are just good friends or my brother, just people I've known for like lots of years. And so usually when I get this wacky idea like, oh, okay, I'm gonna like do another music project and I need a live band and I don't know anyone, well, I got my friends and I know they could play, so I just hit them up and usually they're down. So that's how it's been.
It's kind of the same band members, just with a different name each time.
A different name, different sound. Yeah. But I feel like this is the one that's been the most serious, and it's gonna stay that way, hopefully.
Well, what's different now is that, Docta Groove is just you. It's your project, and before it was more of a band, and this is a solo project, right?
Yeah, everyone is kind of like inputting stuff. But even then, I would always find myself recording lots of the songs or doing a lot of the instrumentation by myself. And then like they would get like one track or something, or 2 tracks, 3 tracks. But I was always the one, like, I was always so obsessed with like the Beatles and stuff like that. And I don't know if you know a lot about the Beatles, but after a certain period of their career, they stopped touring so they could mainly focus on studio work. And so I was always like reading up on how they would try different techniques, different instruments, and layering and doubling and stuff like that. And so I was always very intrigued by that, and I was always like trying different stuff. But I had no knowledge. I was just messing around, just seeing what I could make out of what I had.
You mentioned earlier about going to school, but it sounds like you do a lot of the research yourself. It's not like you're just, continuing to make the same things. Yeah, you're like constantly looking up.
No, yeah, you constantly have to improve. You can't just stay stagnant. That's what I was always saying. Like, you gotta look to others that are gonna give you honest opinions. And I feel like that's made my sound a little bit more, I guess, sound a little better than what I used to make. The production sounds a little better just by sharing it to people that are going to be honest with you, because they're going to tell you what sounds bad or what sounds good. And even if they don't have like music knowledge, they have consumer knowledge. They have the knowledge of a consumer, or they have the, just the way they think. It's like, oh, maybe that bass could be a little louder, or, that bass and that bass drum aren't matching. It's just the way that consumers listen to music. And because when you create music, you listen to it a lot different. Like, I'll listen to music on the radio or on Spotify or whatever, and I'll just be, picking all these little things. Like, oh, okay, I think I could have done that differently, or how could I record this song? How they, you just start kind of like picking songs apart, the instrumentation, the way they recorded it, the production, the doubling, just stuff like that. And I feel like consumers don't really listen to it like that. They just kind of listen to it. It's like, oh, does it sound good? Does the bass match? Oh, how does the voice sound? How's the instrumentation? Just stuff like that. So you have to get out of the way and like share it with other people who are going to be honest.
Do you feel like you're ever satisfied with the music you make then?
Not really. I don't know. Especially lately, I've kind of like got into my head that I'm not good, I guess. But I feel satisfied with what I've done and like how my music has progressed, or just my production overall. But I'm still not really happy with it overall. I feel like I could do it a lot better. And I feel like as of now, I've been kind of discovering what I really want to do with the music, with like some of the newer stuff I've been working on. But even then, I don't know, I'm never really satisfied with what I do. I feel like I could always do it better.
Can you describe how would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it, and what sort of elements that you say, what sort of elements have influenced the music as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a big thing that influences my music is just doing it for myself. I don't really care what people think. Like, I'm pretty sure, you've listened to some of the songs. Some of the instruments are in the songs. You don't hear them in ordinary music. It sounds a little weird. The thing is, I kind of make it for myself. It's just how I would like to hear music, I guess. And so that's kind of like influenced that. Wait, what was the question again? It's like to describe the style. Oh, the style. So yeah. part of it is just doing it for myself. That's kind of like influenced it. But also some of the music I just kind of, like I said, I grew up listening to a lot of like 60s, 70s, 80s music. And then, well, we're 90s kids. So a lot of like the music is inspired of like pop culture and like stuff, like little sounds and instrumentations that you would hear back in, video games and cartoons and TV shows back in the day in the 90s. It's just like little sounds I remember. I don't know why. It just reminds me of like Rugrats or freaking, like Mario or something. It's super random, but I feel like that's kind of influenced my sound too.
So what would you say is the direction you're trying to head? Like, do you feel like you're going to keep your same sound or?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I feel like I'm going to try and make it, I guess, I'm going to improve off of it.
Is it more like refining,
refining the little fine details and like little things like that? Because like I'll listen to my stuff and I'll be like, dang, that kind of sucks. Like I feel like I could do this a lot better. But I mean, it is what it is, and they put it out already. And the only thing I could do is just be happy with the work and improve off of it. Can't just beat yourself up all the time. Gotta be happy with what you put out and then just improve off of it if you're not happy with it.
There's always opportunity if you feel like you could add to a song, that you could re-record it, I suppose.
Yeah, right? I actually want to re-record one of them, make it slower. Because I've like played it live with the guys, slowed down, and it sounds really nice, in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. Right now I'm like kind of behind on like a lot of songs that I've been working on. Because I like to like, I don't know why, I'll get an idea and I just gotta record it or write it down. And then like, if I get a little mental block or a little writer's block or something, I'll stop right there. And then out of nowhere, I'll get another idea for another song and then I'll go to it. And then I just end up with like 8 songs all at once and I just gotta finish them all. So then I'll go back to the one I started in the beginning and, layer the drums on it, layer the guitar, and then I'll get stuck again and I'll go to the next song and do it again. And it's just a whole process. It's just back and forth. And then I end up with something at the end of the day.
That's so funny here. I have a blog and I write. And I feel like whenever I get an idea for a post, I'll start writing that. And then it branches, like you said, into all these other ideas.
Yeah, you get a bunch of like sub-ideas or different ideas where you could just go off on their own little thing. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny here how that just happens with any sort of...
like creator. Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious to hear, okay, you released your album earlier this year. Can you talk about that and how long did that take you to create? What was it like? What's your favorite song off of the album?
Yeah. It took me like 8 months to do. I would say within an 8-month process. And it was stressful. It was very, very stressful. But I mean, I enjoyed it all. But the thing is, because I just have a regular day job too. So I would get off of work. I was just so exhausted. And like I wasn't even sleeping on my bed. As you can see right now, I have my bed on the wall. It cushions the sound. I don't know, like soundproofs my room. So for like a majority of those 8 months, I was sleeping on the ground on a little mat. And I was recording a lot, sleeping very little. Honestly, yeah, like I said, it was very stressful. But I'm pretty happy with what I got done within those 8 months. I think probably my favorite work from that whole thing was probably My Sweet Thing. I felt like I really put a lot of effort into that song.
How so? What's the song about?
That song is kind of like, I don't know, it's very personal to me. And it just means a lot. But I feel like a lot of people could definitely, relate to the song. It's about wanting to move on from, a bad relationship or just something that you shouldn't be in a toxic relationship with a girlfriend, boyfriend, a friend, family, because it's normal. You're never going to click with someone. And at the end of the day, there's times when you shouldn't be in that relationship, but you're still in it because you're afraid to be alone or you're afraid to get out of it. And yeah, it just really resonated with me because not at that time when I was recording, but at the time when I wrote the initial lyrics to the song, I was feeling that. And yeah, that song has like over 70 individual tracks that I recorded all by myself. So I was pretty happy with what came out of it, but it was stressful. A lot of hours and a lot of nights.
When you say 70 tracks, what is that? Like layers of instruments, you mean?
Yeah, tracks. Tracks could be just like something going straight into your interface and recording it into an individual track. So let's say the mic right now is connected to the interface. That's one track. So that'd be the mic. I'm gonna be a mic track. And I do multiple tracks of like guitars, vocals, keyboard, bass, drums. And I just layer all of these tracks to make this soundscape, I guess. Yeah, because I want people to like feel what I'm feeling at the time when I was making the song, I guess. Because I feel like, I don't know, like not to like crap on other musicians or something. I feel like some songs are, especially stuff, mainstream stuff now, is like so overly produced. It doesn't really feel, I guess, genuine, I guess. It feels more like it's just mass produced for the masses just to make money. And I feel like, I'm just this kid making songs that mean a lot to me. And I'm not really doing it for money or anything. I'm just doing it for myself. And I feel like that kind of like helps resonate more with people. Just doing it for myself and not making mainstream friendly music, because my music is not mainstream friendly. Yeah, it's just really weird, but it's my music, has a signature touch to it.
I think you had one time said something about like even being concerned about, because it's not mainstream music, it's very niche, it's not for everyone.
It's not for
and so how do you feel putting that sort of music out into the world, like sharing that with people?
Very overwhelming in the beginning because I didn't know how people were going to respond. And like I said, I've stopped talking to some people, like close people. And because of stuff like that, I guess, because they don't see the potential in it. I mean, I could see potential with it, but the thing is, I really got to market it right, and I got to find the right crowd for it too. But the thing is, other people just don't see it. But a lot of people have like came to me and like said that they see a lot of potential in it, so to keep doing it, and that they're enjoying it. So I mean, I don't really look for like comments like that from other people, but it kind of like helps my my self-conscious and all my doubts and stuff like that. Kind of, it like fortifies my idea that I could actually do something with this. But the thing is, I just got to keep doing it.
I'm sure you receive lots of compliments. I'd like to think you are receiving lots of compliments because your music's excellent. And so sometimes you'll receive compliments and or people saying that they love a song, hearing really good feedback, but does that actually sink in, or do you still, like earlier you were saying that you still feel like there's so much that you want to improve?
Yeah, like it does make me feel better, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I've always been very self-conscious and I always doubt myself a lot. So I feel like maybe I'm not good. Maybe they're just saying it, but I'm pretty sure they're not just saying it. Why would people just like
this mass conspiracy? Everyone's just
it's a mass conspiracy. Everyone's just trying to like make me feel good about myself. I hope that's not the case, but
a lot of people are really going out of their way then.
Yeah, they're really going out of their way to make me feel better.
So you've created what I would call a very dreamy aesthetic around your brand, which shows how much thought you put into it. I feel like you you just named like 70 different tracks. You're really like putting so much thought into everything that you do for your music. Yeah. So do you write your music and think about the audience as you're creating it, or it's more about what you want then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like if I would have thought about the audience, I probably would have just like made like some generic sounding song. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It sounds kind of like rude, I guess, but I feel like a lot of music just very like, it just sounds all the same to me. I don't know why. So that's how to me, what I imagined when I was doing Docta Groove is like, if I were to find a new band, this is what I would like to hear. Something different. Something very out of the ordinary, out of the norm. Because, it's cool to have something different.
Do you feel like the aesthetic you've created for Docta Groove, is that you, or is that an identity that you've sort of like built? Like a stage persona, sort of?
No, honestly, it's just me being me. 'Cause I feel like a lot of people don't really know the kind of person I am. I'm a very, I guess you could say, colorful person. I'm very goofy, very, I don't know, just what people have said. I'm just a weirdo, goofy, funny, and I feel like my music kind of, at first glance or like at first listen, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is kind of weird. Like, who is this dude?" But it's just me. Like, I'm not creating like a persona or nothing. It's just my own persona. But outside of Doctor Groove, I'm just trying to be like an average Joe, just somebody. Like honestly, I don't like people calling me Doctor Groove outside of my little work thing or something. My little work bubble, my music work bubble. Yeah, I just like to go by Fabian.
Well, that's what I called you Fabian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right here it's Doctor Groove. Right?
Oh, okay, right now it's Dr. Groove.
Yeah,
Right.
you're in the music den.
I'm also really interested in hearing about what would you consider to be, thinking about your life in general, like what has been the biggest challenge that you've ever had to face?
I guess kind of coming clean to my father and telling him that school is not really for me and what I just want to do is music. And that's honestly probably one of the biggest things. Honestly, it was very hard for me to say that. For the longest time, I was avoiding it.
Why was that so challenging?
I feel like a lot of the older generation is a lot more close-minded to big ideas like that. Because it's not normal or it's not a norm for someone just to like drop everything to do music or do art or, do podcasts or health coaching and stuff like that. It's definitely super, super different. Everyone just usually goes to school, they get a normal job, and that's life. They get married, have kids, and that's that's the American dream, I guess,
Well, with that in mind, do you feel like it sounds like you think you're living outside of the norm. And do you have a desire? You said even on a day-to-day basis that you're just the average Joe. Do you have a desire to have that sort of normal life? Or do you feel like mixing both is what makes you you?
Mixing in both. Mixing both, I guess. Having like a normal, like, kind of like a normal life outside of this, because I can't be a goofball in public. It's just kind of rude and mature. Yeah, but I mean, you gotta be mature too. You can't be immature. So like, so yeah, definitely I want to like be able to have a normal life while also doing music, but at the same time I want to make a decent living with it to the point where I don't have to go work a normal day job and I can just do music full time or produce or something. It would be pretty cool.
So what would you say? Earlier you described that you really like hearing feedback from others and you're constantly seeking to improve. So what's the biggest mistake you feel you've ever made? Whether that be in music or personally, what would be a mistake that you've made and learned from?
I feel like one of the biggest mistakes I did was wait so long to do this. Because I feel like as you get older, you kind of lose that. I don't know. Have you seen like pop stars or like musicians or artists or people that are like with names? They're usually younger. People that get older, they kind of like lose that value. So I feel like me waiting so long, because I'm 25 now, and I feel like me waiting so long kind of like devalues my work in a way. Because I've heard some people say that. Yeah, basically.
I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, it's true though. People say that, and it's true. Like, oh, you're 25 and you're still doing this, or, I mean, I wish I would have like actually taken it more serious right out of like high school. At 18 would have been a lot better. I think that's probably one of my biggest mistakes. Just not doing it sooner.
But you have been making music for a long time, and even before when it was, maybe you'd say it wasn't totally as serious as now, you were still putting your music out there.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think it was my mentality back then.
What would people say to you back then? Like if you were ever asked, "Oh, do you want to like turn this into something big?" What would you have said at the time?
I would probably would have said like, yeah, I want to do like make this big, but I just don't know where to start. I felt like I had the resources, but the thing is, I didn't know how to utilize the resources or, take advantage of them. As in recording equipment, a lot of people like to complain that, oh, I don't have a studio, I don't have a producer to do my music. Like, no, you can do it all yourself. This is 2019. You got MacBooks, you got computers with Audacity, GarageBand, Pro Tools. You got interfaces that you could buy for cheap, less than $200 mics, and you could do it all yourself. But the thing is, a lot of people are either lazy or they just don't know that you could do it with basic equipment like this. Because I feel like a lot of people just like to listen to big names like, oh yeah, I just came out of the studio, or like, no, you don't need all that junk. You can do it all yourself and make it unique to yourself. The thing is, you gotta make it unique. Because there's like so many people trying to emulate or sound like other artists. I mean, if there's someone trying to sound like the Beatles and we already have the Beatles, why am I gonna listen to them if I can listen to the Beatles, That could be said for like just anyone in general. You got to like do something that's unique to yourself or unique to your whole, idea of your band or your project and stuff like that.
I mean, sometimes people start out by just emulating an artist. That's kind of what gets you
definitely, that's a start. That's a start, yeah, definitely. But then you got to work off of it and make it unique to yourself. But yeah, that's very true.
I mean, nothing's bad. It's some people. I mean, thinking of any craft that you begin, like someone who's interested in drawing, like they'll start maybe by drawing, a cartoon character that they've seen or whatnot. You said that you even started way back, you started making folky music because you heard the Lumineers. And
basically. And then that's kind of like changing it up after that. You have to get that inspiration, trying to emulate it in your own way. And then once you see it, I was like, okay, maybe I could change this or tweak this and then make it your own. I feel like that's how a lot of like stuff should. No, it does start like that. It should start like that, but it shouldn't just stay like that. It has to evolve.
What's the biggest accomplishment you feel you've ever made?
Whew. Honestly, I feel like it's not that big of an accomplishment, but to me, it feels like an accomplishment. Just growing my Instagram within the last year. Slowly, but I mean, it's something. I think it's gone up like 400, 500 followers since I started. But hey, that's something, because a lot of people will be like, oh, you can't do this in the valleys. I mean, I've been growing it for like the last year, and it's every day it's still going up. But I mean, it's gradually going up. And like, it's never going to happen overnight. You just got to stay consistent with it. But yeah, that's honestly something I've been really proud of, I guess. I kind of put the work in there, yeah. Throwing my music out there and just kind of like engaging with the people that like my music. And that's pretty much what you got to do as a creator.
What would you say is the impact that you'd like to make on people? It sounds like you really want to produce music that's unique to you. And I get the impression, just even the times I've seen you play, you're very inspiring to watch. So do you think about that? Being kind of a public figure in that way. Yeah. Do you think about that? Or what's the impact that you'd like to make on people?
So yeah, inspire others that are like too afraid to be outside of the norm, quote unquote, the norm. And yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of talent here. But the thing is, we have that stigma in the valley where, nothing great comes out of here. And people just kind of like live like that, like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll never be good because nothing great comes out of here. But there's a lot of talent here. You just got to get out there and put yourself out there. And slowly, I hope I can inspire more talented people than myself to get out there and, and possibly do something with their talents. So that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, I did forget to ask you, how'd the name Docta Groove come about? You have to explain that.
Oh, that's a funny story. So before Docta Groove, it was like so many different names. Like, oh, it's kind of cringy, but there was like Groovy Palms, there was Cosmic Groove, and there was like some other stuff I forgot. There was like so many groove variations or groovy variations of the name. But pretty much one day at practice, one of my friends just started like calling me Docta Groove, Docta. He just started laughing so much, and it kind of just stuck after that. And so I just changed it to Docta Groove.
And you always knew you wanted to have a name, like a moniker, as you call it, with the with the term groove?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I always especially when I was very young in elementary, I always remember this thought in my head. I always envisioned myself in this really cool, groovy, funky band or something. Even though at that time I wasn't playing any instruments, I just always had that idea oh, I wish it could be so cool if I could be out there just playing this little groovy lick. And yeah, I feel like that's why I kind of chose to stick with that name.
You said back then you weren't playing instruments, so when did you pick up an instrument? Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't pick up an instrument till I was really getting into the Killers, which was around, damn, I don't remember how old I was. I think I was 12 or 13. So I was in junior high. And I kind of picked up my first instrument and taking it.
What was that first one?
It was a bass guitar. A very poorly made one from China or something. But I mean, it was a start, and I liked it a lot to the point where look at all these instruments now.
How many do you play now?
Quote unquote play.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you know how to play. Let's name them off here.
Keyboard, drums, bass, guitar, a little bit of banjo, mandolin. Yeah, I wouldn't really count the melodica. It's the same as a piano.
Let's count it. That's 8 so far.
Yeah, harmonica a little bit. I used to play it when I was more into folk music. And I think that's all. I don't know. I mean, whatever I could get my hands on, I'll try to see what I could do with it. I like to experiment with different sounds and stuff like that.
Is there an instrument that you want to learn how to play? A new one?
Violin. I tried it. It was so hard and so weird because I'm not used to moving a bow and moving my fingers with the frets. It just does not feel natural to me. So I gave up and I sold it. But I mean, if I could, I would want to try it again, or the cello. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, I want to get into some closing questions. We're going to start wrapping this up. The first one is, if you were stranded on a deserted island, what's one thing that you would want to have with you?
Ooh, that's... Is there food there already, or
well,
do I have to choose?
Well, I don't set the rules here, so you can... however you want to interpret deserted island.
Well, I would imagine at least some wildlife or coconuts or something. So I should be alright with food. Just my guitar, I think. It'll keep me somewhat sane.
I love that. What are some routines or habits that you have that make you feel like your best self?
I feel like I have a good work ethic. Even though I'm tired, I just have that drive to want to do something every day. I always strive to do something. Even if it's not much, I always get something done. And that's something I feel like that's part of my day-to-day routine that I try to fit it in. Whatever it is, I'll get something done.
Do you write it down in a plan for the day, or do you?
I have a whiteboard right here, actually. Oh. Yeah, it's covered right now because of the amp, but so just recently I got a whiteboard and I write down what I need to get done within a week or within this month, and I just try to do it. Sometimes it's just too much stuff to get done, but I'll try to get as much as I could get done. And yeah, it kind of gives you a plan.
That's cool. I like having a visual.
Yeah. It helps a lot. It helps a lot.
What's one thing that people might not expect that you'd be into?
Something that I'm into?
Yeah, that secret little something that, maybe you don't talk about as much, but still very much you.
I guess smoking, I guess. I don't really throw it out there, but yeah, I do smoke, yeah. I feel like if you do it wisely and right, I feel like it could really benefit you. But the thing is, you can't act a fool, though. You gotta definitely use it for its healing properties and just the way it makes you, see things in different perspectives.
Do you vape? Is that...
No, marijuana. Okay. Yeah. Vape? No, I don't vape.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of people are vaping.
No, that's that's so memeable now. No one likes vapors. No hate against the vape community.
Yeah, that's it's almost I feel like that's almost what makes it acceptable, you know? Like, oh, because it's in this trendy little, like, pen shape.
Yeah.
But
no.
Yeah, I mean, cool. Whatever floats your boat. Okay, what's the best piece of advice that anyone has ever given you?
I do watch this one YouTuber. I can't remember the name. I don't know why, and I watch him all the time. He gives a lot of good advice for, getting your music out there, getting your brand out there, marketing. I actually watch a lot of those videos, as like immature as I look. But yeah, I like really look up to the guy. He inspires me a lot. It's just kind of pretty much a lot of the stuff he says is put yourself out there and you got to stay consistent. And at the end of the day, being consistent and always engaging with, the audience is going to make you better. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to get anywhere. So you got to consistently just put in the work, put in all the effort, and it'll pay off. Maybe I'm struggling right now financially. Yeah. But, eventually it'll get somewhere.
I was also going to ask, like, who inspires you? So would you say that's...
One of them, yeah, he's one of my inspirations, like, to get, like, my brand out there. And, like, music-wise, I would say, like, my favorite artists, like, the Beatles or Mac DeMarco and stuff like that. And I guess my family, they inspire me.
Your family? How so?
Yeah, they're just... I don't know, they're just always... No matter, like, how bad things get, they always, like, see the good in, like, the bad stuff. And, yeah. And they're always super supportive, which is pretty cool. My grandmas, my mom, my brothers. Well, my brother's playing the live band with me. So, I mean, that's pretty supportive right there. And some of my family has bought in my t-shirts. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I just like... I like that. They inspire me because... Like, a lot of them didn't go to school and they put in the work and, they survive. And I like that. Because you gotta survive.
It sounds like seeing the way they believe in you also kind of helps you believe in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, I doubt myself a lot. But it does help me, like, them kind of supporting me like that makes me believe that I could do it. But, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of years from now. where it takes me. So
what would you... Earlier you mentioned the YouTuber, which you're going to have to tell me the name of this person later so that I can include it in the show notes. But what would you say is a book, a movie, a podcast, or any sort of resource that has inspired you that you would recommend to listeners?
I have a couple, like, favorite movies.
Go into them. Tell us.
Yeah, let's go into them. Okay, one of them, Sing Street. You haven't seen it? Watch it. It's so good. Pretty much, I think they're in Ireland or Scotland or something. It's just like kids, kind of like junior high school stage in their life. And pretty much this kid, he lives in a very dysfunctional family, and they move him into a public school. He was from a private school. And right there, he meets this one girl that's kind of like a model, I guess. And so he wants to impress her. So he's like, I'm going to start a band. And he just tells her straight up, like, well, I'm in a band, even though he's not in a band. And so from there, he's like, okay, I need to make a band. So he makes a band with, like, some kids that he just meets right there. And yeah, it's just kind of cool, like, seeing them progress from that. And then they're, like, slowly making these really cool songs and music videos. And then, like, at the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil it, but pretty much he puts himself out there and he wants to do something with it. So he just goes away to do it. And the thing is, it's just very open ending. Like, you don't know what happens, but you just hope that he makes it, So that's a really good one that I really like. And, like, it's inspired me a lot. What are the others? Nowhere Boy. I don't know if you've seen that one. Like John Lennon's beginnings, kind of.
Is that what? Aaron Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that one. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been a couple of years, but I remember really liking that.
Yeah, I've watched that movie at least once a year. It just re-inspires me all the time. I don't know. Just kind of seeing how they started and how they turned, just that into something so big. You know, the Beatles are known everywhere. It's just crazy seeing that.
That's kind of cool to hear. Like, it sounds like watching these movies of early beginnings can be very grounding when you're thinking about everything that you want to do, just kind of coming back to that square one and thinking, okay, this is where I've come from and I'm growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's all like steps. You see the little baby steps in the movies and you just boom, 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 and it progresses and you're like, you know what? They were just like me in the beginning. Maybe I could do something with it. And it just helps inspire. And that's what I like about those type of movies.
Okay, last question. What's next for you?
What's next for me? I feel like what's next, besides putting out more music and playing more shows, is slowly trying to branch out of the valley and play shows outside of here. Because, you know, there's only so much you could do in this little community. And then at some point, it's just gonna, like, kind of cap off and you gotta, like, go somewhere else to, like, do something different, you know? To, like, see if you could succeed over there or succeed elsewhere. And, yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do next. Like, next big moves. Just trying to, like, set myself up somewhere else and, like, slowly work my way into those music scenes and communities and see how I can make an impact there. Or if I don't, then, you know, go somewhere else. And pretty much that's what I have in mind.
That's cool. I like it. It's like spreading your wings, basically.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of nerve-wracking, but because I don't know how people are gonna, if they're gonna be receptive to it or not. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's always someone for your craft. Someone's gonna appreciate it, and you can't please everyone. The thing is, you gotta just do it for yourself.
I mean, it was nerve-wracking when you first put out your music here.
Yeah.
So I think each time it doesn't matter where you are, it's always going to be that feeling, you know, having that concern about what.
That's my heart.
I don't know if it'll get picked up on the recording.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my dog's very he's very needy. He needs a lot of attention. So like if he's alone, he'll start crying for just to come get attention. Sometimes he'll come and just lay down and here and just kind of like he'll just fall asleep. Like I'll be working and that's all he wants. He just wants that little company.
So I think I was saying that it's always nerve-wracking, even around here when you first put out your music. It was a little scary and you felt concerned about what people would think, but you're going to feel the same way wherever you end up going.
Yeah, basically.
It's kind of like starting fresh each time.
Yeah, it's like a fresh new start and just trying to see what's going to happen or what's going to come of it. But you got to stay optimistic. So I feel like that's kind of helped me too. Because I know I doubt myself a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm a very optimistic person.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to anyone listening then? Let's say someone who
like a creator or just anyone wanting to do something different?
Yeah, like someone who wants to maybe branch into something different and, you know, they have that inkling inside their mind. They're like, I kind of want to do something else. Not sure how to approach it. Kind of the way you felt, you know, a few years back. So what advice would you give?
Honestly, the best advice I would say is just start. And start with an open mind, because when you start, you're not going to be good. That's just how it is. Unless you're like a natural born, like talented person at that thing. But even then, you always got to, you know, get better at something. In the beginning, you're not going to be as good as you are, you know, 5 years from now. And so just start, take, you know, constructive criticism and work off of it and be consistent with your craft or whatever you're trying to do. And that's pretty much what I would say to someone that wants to get out there and do something different. Because there's no actual, you know, there's no real paved road for that. Just kind of gotta just start and just see where it goes. That's
excellent advice. This has been a really great interview. Thank you so much, Docta Groove.
Thank you for having me.
There you have it, guys. That's the end of the episode. what's your favorite part? I'll tell you mine. I really enjoyed hearing how Fabian said that he produces music for himself. He even said it might sound a little bit selfish, but at the end of the day, he is here to make himself happy. It's no coincidence that those words were exactly what I needed to hear. Personally, I can get really caught up in the comparison trap and try to steer my actions towards pleasing others, but I thought it was cool to hear that because too much of doing that, and I end up sacrificing what I'm trying to create. So, of course, it's important to meet your audience in the middle, and just like Fabian said, being able to take criticism is a valuable part of growth and improvement. But staying true to who you are and what it is that you want to create or do, or the kind of person you want to be, that's so important. Be sure to check out Docta Groove's album and follow him on Instagram at Docta Groove. Tag us both if you make a post and share what your favorite part of this episode was. I'd really love to hear it, and I'm sure he would too. And with that, I will say goodbye and leave you with Up to No Good by Docta Groove, starting now.
Hello everybody, I'm Docta Groove. The song I'll be playing for you today is called Up to No Good. It's a very short one, but yeah, I wrote it about a girl that was up to no good. I met her in the dead of night. She was sweet and so kind. You should have seen the way she looked up at me. She took me for a ride, and it made me very blind. Now I should have known that she was up to no good. I should have known that she was up to no good. I should have known that she